So I've gone ahead and put in my budget amounts. I have my cable or satellite, which is $15 a month because I got to divide it by 3 people, my internet TV streaming by $45 into 3 because I am renting with 2 other people. Same thing for my internet. I decided not to have a home phone, but I will have a cell phone, and I won't be splitting that with my roommates because it's my cell phone. And then I took electricity and gas and water supercharge, and I divided those by 3. And automatically, this should have calculated for you. So I know I have $1,104 to spend. I'm currently spending $796 on my home life. Now, what I think is important to note is, remember at the beginning, we had a little bit of a situation with that graph where I was showing how we spend almost 45 to 50% of our income on transportation and living expenses or our home. So right now, if I were to take that 796.34 and figure out what percentage of my income am I actually spending, I'm paying 72% of my income on my living expenses, my home, my internet, phone, and my water, sewer, gas, and garbage. So, and electricity. What I think is important to note is I'm over budget on this right now, but we're going to keep going. And if I go into debt, I go into debt, and we'll see how it goes. And maybe I can always come back and adjust my monthly savings. Not that I really want to decrease from 20%, but if that's the living standards you're in, that's the living standards you're in. So the next step that we have after we go ahead and we choose our utilities is to be able to pick our transportation mode. So when we have our transportation mode, we can look at things like a public transportation for buses, trains, etc. If you live in the Spokane area, you're looking at about $60 a month. Now, if I actually look up Spokane Public Transit monthly pass, you can see on the web what those will be. So if I were to see what a monthly pass is going to look like, I could do a reduced fare if I qualified. I could learn what to pay for these types of passes. If I'm an adult, I'm looking at about 2 hours. If I have a 31-day rolling pass, though, I'm looking at $60 a month for a 31-day pass. So I did go out and actually figure out what these were, but this is a monthly budget, so let's pretend that you're using public transportation to get to and from work, all those kinds of things. Worst case scenario, remember, even if you live within walking distance of your work, let's do a worst case scenario and pretend you don't live within walking distance of your work because your job might change, right? If you choose to use your car instead, we're going to do things like a car payment. So really quickly, if you're going to do public transportation, you should pause the video here so you can get the amount that you need, or go look it up by the city you plan to live in. So for instance, Sacramento is not on here. So if I was living in Sacramento, I would need to go look up public transportation monthly cost to figure that out. Then if you're going to use a car, let's move forward to like a car payment. So let's pretend your car doesn't work anymore, right? The one you currently drive or the one your adults have given you or plan to give you. Again, worst case scenario. It's always great to budget in a worst case scenario. So let's take a 3-year loan at a 4.75% interest rate. I know we haven't gotten to loans yet, but let's just look at it as if that was a pretty standard loan, which it is. And, excuse me, if you were going to do like an $8,000 car, what would that get you? You can look it up online, like look up your car that you would want to have, see how much it's going to cost you, and go with that kind of range of what you want, okay? If you are going to get a car, you need to go ahead and have insurance, okay? And let's just pay per month because that's the worst case scenario as well. Minimum coverage is $676 a year on average, so it's $56 a month. Maximum coverage or national average coverage, this would include like protecting the car and liability, is $136 a month. And if you're going to have a car, you have to have insurance by law. Okay, and then lastly, I would also assume about $100 a month for car maintenance. Some months will be zero, but the next few months, like if you have to go get tires, it's like $600 to get tires. Okay, that's 6 months worth of savings. So although you didn't do any maintenance like oil changes or tires or anything like that in the past 6 months, That's 6 months saved up to get tires, okay? And then gas. So I'm going to go back through those real quick, pause on each one so you can pause the video if needed to get each one of those. So going back to public transportation, if you need it, pause it here. If you're going to do a car payment, pause it here and go look up cars and then compare to the table. If you're going to have a car, you also need to have insurance. So pause that here so you can get either the $136 or $56 per month into your budget. And if you're going to have a car, don't forget about maintenance. And lastly, don't forget about gas. Think about how far you're going to drive, right? If you're living in Cheney, but your job's going to be in Spokane, you're probably going to be driving about 35 miles a day. So it's $126 in gas per month. If we were based on a 282 gallon, hello, right now gas is over $3.90 in our area. And this is a pretty good mile per gallon car. So this is a pretty good percentage here, but if you really wanted to figure out, you could do the math on it.